Hello, NFL fans, and welcome back to another NFL statistical breakdown. Now, a few weeks back, I did a video on the correlation between point differential. This week, we're going to break down one of the most underrated stats that determines a team's success. Now, success in the NFL equates to making the playoffs, aka being part of the 44%. This stat helps identify playoff teams, whether you're in this for gambling or if you're in this for fantasy football. We are going to do a weekly breakdown. Most people focus on quarterback ratings and things like that. But today we're going to talk about explosive plays, one of the most underrated football statistics in the game. Success in the NFL is making the playoffs. This stat will help you identify which teams are playoff teams. So every week you have fans arguing about total touchdowns, total yards, quarterback ratings, things of that nature. But the real analysts, they focus on this stat. And that one stat they focus on is explosive play differential. And if you want to edge in football analytics, you got to know this stat. So basically, an explosive play is considered any play that generates more than 10 yards on a single snap. So a handoff up the middle goes for 10 yards, a slant across the middle. If it goes for 14 yards, anything that goes for double-digit yards is considered an explosive play. They track and monitor offensively explosive plays, and they do this same on the defensive side, meaning you're not giving up any plays over 10 yards. And what they do is they net them. Your offense's explosive plays versus your defensive plays, and they net them to a total. And that's basically how they come up with the explosive play differential. Was not expecting this to have such a impact on winning. But if you look at my screen here, we're going to look at the top teams in the NFL when it comes to explosive play differential. Let's look at the top three teams. LA Rams, they played to get into the Super Bowl. Seattle Seahawks made the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl. And the New England Patriots lost to the Seahawks in the Super Bowl. Now, these are the teams that rank number 1, 2, and 3 in explosive play differential. So you can see the impact that this has. You can see that this makes a difference. These teams all had double-digit wins, not 10 wins, but 12 wins or more. And it shows you the true impact of this stat. And if you just look at the top 7, any team highlighted in black here, they made the playoffs. So the top 7 teams in explosive play differential made the playoffs, and all of them had double-digit wins. You talk about a team like the New York Jets that last year had no weapons. There's a reason why the Jets were not successful. They didn't have athletes other than Breece Hall that was a true threat. And you look at the Rams offensively, their receiving core, same thing with the Seattle Seahawks, and even the Patriots. Patriots were a little more less dynamic, but they had a quarterback that finished tops in the league in QBR rating. So explosive play differential makes a difference. So let's just take a look at the Rams. They had 193 plays offensively over 10 yards, but they only gave up 141, giving it a net of 52. It's kind of crazy how this differential, it really makes a difference. The Rams had 187 offensive plays over 10 yards, but they only gave up 143. They had a net of 44. And then finally, New England Patriots had 181 offensive explosive plays and only gave up 145. And as you can see here, this has a huge impact on the game. And you think, well, why does it have such an impact? Well, you score quickly. And if you're scoring quickly and you're preventing the other team from scoring quickly, that's a recipe for success. That's number one. Also, when you score quickly, you also have a chance to get the ball back so you can do what? Score again. And that definitely has the Rams written all over it. And even the Seahawks. I mean, Seahawks have balance, running the ball and also passing and scoring quickly. So explosive play differential makes a difference, people. If you just look at the top 11, I think it's 81% of these teams made the playoffs. And if you look at the bottom tier, let's look at the bottom tier, none of these teams made the playoffs. And honestly, these are the teams that were picking first in the NFL draft. And there's a reason why. They don't have weapons on offense. And defensively, they can't stop teams from making big plays. So, it truly, this is one of those hidden, underrated stats that truly makes a difference. And this is the NFL in a nutshell right here. your top 11, 80% of the teams made the playoffs. And then in your second tier, I think you got only 4 teams in the second tier made the playoffs. And you had some teams with winning records, but in terms of explosive plays, their net were below 10 and, less success in terms of making the playoffs. And then your bottom tier, you have no playoff team. So if you do not have got weapons on offense, and if you do not have a defense that forces you to drive the length of the field, you're going to have problems winning games because this is directly tied to winning percentage. I mean, if you look here, these top teams here, they have a winning percentage of like 70%, as opposed to the bottom teams. I think they have like a 28, 29% winning percentage. So it makes a difference and it correlates. And, think about it. Like a team, like I'm a New York Jet fan. And the Jets, when they do score, it takes 15 plays. And in that 15 play drive, you're going to have penalties. You're going to have, the opportunity for turnovers, things of that nature. While if you score quickly, less likely to have penalties. And it even cuts down on your turnovers. If you're striking really fast. One of the most underrated stats in the NFL. And if you're positive in the teens, I think you're really doing something. And even at plus 10, it makes a difference. You combine explosive play differential, and if you also win in the turnover battle during the season. So these teams here in the middle that are in the second tier, but if they're winning the playoff margins, then that makes them look better than they really are. In fact, maybe one of my next videos is going to be on the 2025 turnover margin winners. Maybe we can take a look at that. But explosive plays makes a difference. We're going to track this during the season. So I really hope you guys subscribe to the channel. This is one of the things we're going to be breaking down during the season. If you do fantasy football, if you gamble, or if you just want to know where your team stands, are they for real? Are they one of these teams on the margins here? Are they doing other things like winning the turnover battle? Are they stopping the run? Things of that nature. They're not up in the upper echelons. They're doing other things to make them successful in the leagues. It's funny. You look at the Dallas Cowboys here. Dallas Cowboys finished in the top 10 in explosive plays, but their defense gave up a ton of explosive plays. So you could say what you want about Dak Prescott. He's producing explosive plays on the offensive side of the ball. This is not a Dak Prescott problem. This is a defensive problem because they're giving up way too many explosive plays on the defensive side of the ball, which led to the Cowboys having a 7-9-1 record. Surprisingly, Detroit Lions, again, they finished with 180 explosive plays. You think about their running back core, their receiving core, but they only finished with a net of 15. Why? Because the defense have given up explosive plays. And so if you are doing fantasy football, you want a team that are generating explosive plays, right? So you want to, if it comes down to a guy who's on a team with, that is generating explosive plays versus a team down here that is not, go with the team and pick a player on a team with explosive plays. I think that'll increase your odds, and you being successful. So this is one of the things we're going to track, like I said, this year. Guys, please subscribe to the channel. And if you want a further discussion on your team, a further breakdown of your team, where your team stands, hit me up with some comments and I can do a further breakdown for you. But this is the 2025 NFL Explosive Play Differential Rankings. And in your top 3, your 2 Super Bowl participants were in there. So next year what stat you need to be monitoring. And again, we will be breaking this down. So I look forward to chopping it up with you guys in the future, and we'll talk soon. Peace.